I'm Amanda Leitner, and welcome to Rochester Rising, where we amplify the stories of Rochester entrepreneurs. Welcome to episode 178 on the podcast today. So today we're joined by General Manager Trevor McCarthy and owner, founder, and serial entrepreneur Matt Little with Midwest Farms and the CBD Centers. Together, Midwest Farms and the CBD Centers provide an integrated seed-to-shelf service for industrial hemp products. The business started out in 2018 as a farm, which is still based out of Waseca, Minnesota, but they quickly learned there was a huge gap in processing hemp. So they stepped into that space, and in 2019, they began testing products on the shelf and expanded into the retail space. So today on the podcast, we talk about hemp, CBD, and how this business is tackling educational gaps within the industry. We also talk about challenges they face in an emerging industry and how the business has pivoted to create hand sanitizer during the COVID pandemic. As I mentioned, Midwest Farms is based out of Waseca, and the CBD Centers has 6 stores in Minnesota, 1 in Texas, and 2 CBD Centers in Rochester, located at both Miracle Mile Shopping Center and on Marketplace Drive Northwest. So stay tuned today for our chat with Trevor and Matt. You found our podcast in some way, but a reminder that we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, as well as on YouTube. You can also find more stories of Rochester entrepreneurs on our website at rochesterrising.org, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right, so now on to the podcast today with Trevor and Matt of Midwest Farms and CBD Centers.
I'll just start out by asking you guys to introduce yourselves so people can know who's talking when they hear your voice.
I'm Trevor McCarthy. I'm the manager here at the Miracle Mile location of the CBD Centers that we opened up here on February 15th.
And I'm Matt Little, one of the owners and founding partner of the CBD Centers and Midwest Extraction, Midwest Farms.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely want to talk more about that. But I'd like to ask everybody too, are you from Rochester? How did you get here originally? What's your stories?
I'm from Wisconsin. I actually went to school in Mankato, graduated there, started working with my buddy Phil, who was the first manager at the Mankato store. So I started working for him, and then kind of got the opportunity to come and manage the new store opening up out here in February after about spending a year or so after school at the Mankato store. And then, I came out here and started managing this store.
And I'm originally from Rapidan, a little small town outside of Mankato, but lived in Mankato for the last 20 years. Looked at Rochester as a location for the CBD centers because of health and wellness, and obviously that's where the CBD Centers is focused on.
So I think, one of your main focuses is on education, but maybe just to start and kind of set the stage, can you talk a little bit about, what is hemp? What is CBD? Why would people want to use products? Yeah,
so I'll answer this one, Trevor. Big difference, there's a huge difference between hemp and the psychoactive cousin plant marijuana. They look similar. They have the same terpene profiles and smell profiles. So a lot of people get them confused, but CBD is just one cannabinoid that can be produced from the plant, and we extract it through cryoethanol extraction. We pull out that oil, we refine it. So it's a molecule that reacts with your CB1, CB2 receptors. And it helps with a whole bunch of different ailments. I mean, it's the crazy part about this plant is that we get in the retail settings, and as you talked about, the education side of things is really what we focus on the retail side of things. Is we get to hear stories. Trevor, you probably have a ton of stories working at the store for the last year.
Yep. Yeah. With that, I mean, it's so widespread. You can kind of narrow it down to a lot of the same symptoms that are alleviated by CBD use. It varies per person. So it is, some people need to take upwards of 50 milligrams, even higher a day. Some people only need to take like 5 to 10 milligrams a day. it all really depends on, how much their body, how well their body responds to it, that kind of stuff, any kind of other products added in.
So trying to bring in the question and round it up without going too down the bunny hole. I can go real deep, and sometimes my partners are always like, Matt, you got to dumb it down for people. They haven't spent 3 years studying intense studying like I have.
Well, I am a scientist, so I really appreciate like how many things can come out of one plant and the different, I don't know much about the extraction methods, but just, the different science that can be applied to get different products out of one entity. Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those plants that, there's 100 and some cannabinoids. There's I don't remember off the top of my head how many terpene profiles there are, but for a plant to produce that many different types of cannabinoids, that it's pretty amazing plant, and I think it's we call the grow rooms at the CBD centers the decriminalization rooms, because I think everybody has this perception of what it looks like and what it smells like, and it's this evil plant. And I think America's waking up to it. I have been. I was never a fan of its cousin plant, marijuana, but just seeing what CBD has done for myself and my grandparents are on it, and how it helps alleviate that. I have a blue old English bulldog that used to suffer from seizures. He no longer has seizures when he's on his CBD treats. So to see firsthand people that you're close to, how it can change their life is just pretty unbelievable.
We need to talk about Midwest Farms and more about the CBD Center, but I think before we jump into that, what kind of gaps existed, especially in Minnesota and Wisconsin, because I know this is all kind of hyper local, that there was a need for Midwest Farms and then the store. So what kind of gaps were you guys seeing in the local community, or opportunities?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and gaps actually was a great word, because we were farming in 2018, learned that there was a huge gap in the processing side of things. One, the knowledge of farming, two, the processing and where you can take your hemp, and then led into, we never wanted to be into the retail side of things, but we started testing products on the shelves. At that time, 2018, you could really, and remember that we're only a couple of years off of CBD being a Schedule I drug, so it came off the Schedule I drug list. It started being sold in smoke shops. We started testing the products on the smoke shops, started realizing that all these products on the shelf were mislabeled. They were grossly overstated. You could buy a 1,500 milligram bottle that would only have a couple hundred milligrams of CBD in it, and all the way down to no CBD. And that was really when we decided that we needed to take a stance and educate the public of what the benefits of CBD is, and also create a product and a product line that is accurate to what we are putting in the labels. Because if you grabbed a product that had zero CBD in it and it didn't work and it didn't help for you, you now ruined that customer forever.
Right.
I think that's a really good point you brought up, is that, when you go back to the education, people already don't know what hemp is, don't know what CBD is. And then, you get a product that's labeled pretty poorly and or has nothing, no active ingredients in it. Right. Huge.
Right.
Right. Well, Amazon's even, I'm going to throw them under the bus, and I love Amazon, but I mean, I think they're getting too big. They're not controlling their product lines. They're letting people sell hemp seed oil on it, and they're putting 1,500 milligrams on it. They're making it seem like they're CBD. And that's what's happening, is people buying hemp seed oil and let's actually back up so I can explain that a little bit, that there's a huge difference between, the THC marijuana side, and then there's the hemp side. And there's a lot of things that can come from the hemp. You can get fiber from the hemp, you can get grain seed from the hemp, and then you can get the cannabinoids from the hemp. So when you talk about hemp seed oil, you're actually talking about a plant that created a seed that they crushed down to get the oil out of it. So it has a lot of benefits, but it's, as far as, anti-inflammation and those type of things, it doesn't. That's not what it's.
And hemp seed oil, people primarily just cook with that, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's just like an olive oil or any other kind of oil. Absolutely.
So let's talk about Midwest Farms then. So based out of Waseca, and you have as part of Midwest Farms, you have a 40,000 square foot greenhouse, but I understand, which is amazing. So can you share a little bit about that and the processes that are there?
Yeah. So my business partner actually has a big garden center here in Mankato, Minnesota, Drummer's Garden Center. So he already had a greenhouse in Waseca. So when we got into the hemp, we grew 1 year without him, then brought him into the fold. It was a natural fit. He loves plants. You know, if he walks into a greenhouse and sees plants dying, it's like almost like you're killing a child. He's just, that's what he geeks out on. So it was a natural fit. He had a greenhouse there that they were using for other things that wasn't being utilized. So we grew 2 seasons in there, and, you know, really get to find some of the genetics and some of, you know, learning about the plant. And now this year we're actually growing some CBG in there, and we're also growing some other plants that don't have anything to do with the cannabis plant that we're going to extract the terpene profiles from and really have an overall entourage effect from a lot of different plants.
Very cool. Can you explain what terpenes are for people who might, like, I'm not even 100% sure.
Yep. No, it's so essentially like when you smell lemons, mm-hmm. or you smell what a cannabis plant smells like, you're actually smelling the terpenes. So it's the, you know, low volatiles, they come off low temperatures. But so essentially the best way to say it, it's the smell of the plant.
Very cool. And then you have the CBD centers. And like you said, these are all really integrated from seed to shelf. So, you know, what's a CBD centers and what's kind of that integration between the farm and your retail stores? And then I understand there's 8 different CBD centers as well, 2 in Rochester and then Mankato and some other locations.
Yep. So I think the moment you walk into a flagship store, which one of the Rochester locations is a flagship store. And what we mean by that is we put a full grow room in there. We put in a full lab setup so people can see some of the equipment that is used to extract the cannabinoids out of the plant. And so we really focused on education and trying to teach the public what's good about the plant, what some of the benefits could be, and then really just, like, again, educate them so they are aware of what's on the market. So if they are looking on the internet and they see a bottle of 1,500 hemp seed oil for sale for $29.99, we can, you know, they understand that that's not CBD oil. That's probably just the hemp seed oil, like you're cooking, you know, like olive oil. And customers can actually come into like Trevor's location, and there's a HPLC machine, high performance liquid chromatography. It'll test the potency of your products. And we offer that as free of charge to customers, so that if you are finding a product that you are questioning whether it's legit or not, we'll tell you if it is or not.
So yeah, Trevor, we were talking about the seed to shelf aspect. So, at the farm, you're kind of growing the plants, processing them, you know, retailing them at your locations. So, you know, when someone comes into the CBD center, what kind of experience do you want them to have there? What kind of products do you have? What is that like for a first-time customer?
That experience, that initial experience for the customers that's the biggest thing. We really want to nail that. They get to see everything that we're about here. You know, we have the grow room right in our stores. We have the extraction lab that Matt was talking about, where we have our HPLC, where people can bring in product and test it. You know, we really want people to come in and be like, oh, you know, this isn't some, you know, smoke shop that's going for a quick buck. This isn't, you know, just some head shop or dispensary or something like that. We really wanted to kind of keep that professionalism, that educational-based location where people can come in and actually learn everything specifically about what they're about to buy and why they should, you know, the nutritional benefits behind it. And like I said, the grow room and the labs being in our storefront completely sets us apart, because not only are we testing with our HPLC in our lab, we're running extraction. You know, we can refine our crude oils that we extract right in that lab there. We can do it even more so right from the plants that we have growing right in our room. Right now, we're probably about 2 to 3, maybe, you know, I probably wouldn't say any more than 3 weeks away from our first harvest of our grow room, with our plants in our grow room right now. So, I mean, we really like to show off everything that we're capable of doing, not only in-house here in our stores, but, you know, the whole operation of what we're doing.
So you're growing plants at the stores as well as the farm.
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. So people can stop in and actually get to see them, hands-on, see that, yeah, we do this here. We grow it right here in Minnesota. It doesn't leave. It's our product. We see it all the way through to, what's on our shelves in our retail space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to ask you guys, so this is a very new space. I mean, industrial hemp in the U.S. used to be a big thing. You probably know the history better than me, but, around the time of World War I, especially for fiber, then it goes away. I think it came back in, I know, Wisconsin in 2017 or 18, Minnesota, I think a little bit before then. So it's definitely very new. So what are some challenges you face in a field that's, it is highly regulated, but that education piece is a gap, or it's a challenge. And also, like we talked about, Matt, processes really weren't in place, even with planting, harvesting,
right.
Even the science behind it. So what are some of the challenges you guys face in this industry? And then how do you navigate through those?
Well, it's a lot of the gaps are actually more often than not a little bit easier to navigate through in regards to, the science about hemp and cannabis in general. So with that, a lot of the problems are just stigmas, honestly. We get a lot of products just get bunched right in the group with marijuana, and people really don't understand that distinction between the two. So it's a lot of times it's, really breaking down what cannabinoids are in which plants, and how much, what percentage of those cannabinoids are in that plant per se, if it's hemp or marijuana. A lot of it too is a lot of people like to try to, say that it's just a placebo effect. And, there's physiological, lab tests and clinical research trials that are, month by month, year by year, proving that it is a legitimate, addition as a nutritional supplement or a medicine. It's kind of a gray area between a supplement and a medicine.
Good catch.
It's
Trevor, just one of the challenges is wordsmithing. We hear so many stories of how it's changing people's lives, and how I'm living proof of it. It's night and day difference between it's not an option for me not to take my CBD. It's that much of a difference, and so excuse me, having to be able to wordsmith and not tell people just how you feel because you're worried that you're going to overstep your bounds is challenging. One of the things I think people building trust is what we obviously, if you walk in the stores, you realize that experience, that trust is what we're building, because we spent a ton of money on stuff that we didn't need to, like the HPLC machine, but we want people to understand that, hey, we're in this for the long haul. This costs us a lot of money to help educate, and we're selling products to afford to do that every day.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning before I had pressed record, but why are both of you passionate about hemp, about CBD, and what was your kind of journeys to get to this point?
Right off the bat, my biggest thing is not only the health benefits of it, but we're talking like economic benefits, benefits in regards to infrastructure, building, construction. There's so many different benefits that hemp can do, especially with its how fibrous it is as a natural, it's natural fibers, as well as how well can it actually, alleviate a lot of different symptoms, pain, inflammation, sleep, anxiety, mood, stress, all that kind of stuff. It's not just one individual thing about hemp. It's a very multifaceted plant that can bring a lot of positive changes in our world. And I bet through this next decade, we're going to see a lot of hemp-based industries a lot of non-hemp-based industries utilizing the plant to kind of break down some barriers of, whether it's construction, whether it's healthcare, whether it's, fitness, you name it. It could reach out into a lot of different industries.
Yeah. And for me, it's the passion comes between hearing the stories at the center. That's what drives our retail side. I mean, I think Trevor can attest to that. It's unbelievable when you have people in your store crying at the benefits that it's done for them. And for me, I live pain-free when I'm on CBD. You give me 2-3 days without my CBD, and my back pain, I'm walking like a 90-year-old.
It's usually kind of the same thing for me with sleep too. Sleep was the biggest one for me. Like I used to be such a spotty sleeper, like almost like a insomniac, and within about 2 days of finding, starting using the Spartan oil, first of all, was kind of the first big step for me. And then finding that dosage that we actually, kind of teach to all of our clients. That 2-step within 2 days, and my sleep was fixed. On top of that, we're talking soreness with working out every day, all that kind of stuff too. So it's, even on a micro level for me personally as well, it's pretty life-changing.
And I wanted to talk with you guys. So things have changed since the COVID-19 pandemic has started, and with changing executive orders. So can you walk through what the progression has been up to this point? Because I know you guys have dramatically switched, what you're making, what you're offering, and I saw you take a huge bucket of hand sanitizer out. So what's kind of the progression of events of, going through more operations, what you're doing?
Yeah. So being a serial entrepreneur, as long as I have, I realized that you have to pivot, or be fluid. One of my sayings is be like water. Water can take on, it can be a gas, it can be a liquid, it can be a solid, it can cut steel or it nourishes the body. So my philosophy in life is like that, be like water, go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And so when we saw that this, obviously was going to affect us and economically, we also realized how fast the hand sanitizer situation was becoming an issue. We deal with ethanol all the time. We had a TTB license, which is a license to buy ethanol. So it was really easy for us to pivot and start producing hand sanitizer. 13 days into the company, we've sold 1.2 million gallons of it already. So ready, shoot, aim is something we say a lot around here. It's, don't sit and think about it. As an entrepreneur, don't think about it. Just go. It used to be get a business plan and think about it and do it. The way the economy and the way the world works is fast paced. You have an idea, you shoot, and then you figure out how to make it more efficient afterwards.
So people can place orders for the hand sanitizer online, and then just come in and pick it up at any of the 2 locations in Rochester. Is that?
Yep. So you'd be able to pick it up at the Miracle Mile location right now. Yep. I believe the North Store, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, if they'll be carrying it soon.
Yeah. I believe Jennifer has and order online, and if you are a supporter of the North location, by all means go online, order it. She'll get the sales and the credit for it. So we're doing all we can to help all the store owners out through these times also.
So how much, I imagine I know this is a huge change from making hand sanitizer from CBD products, but was there a lot that you had to learn, or how did you figure out kind of how to make it? Is it a process, or what does that look like?
It's really easy. So the FDA and the World Health Organization made this formula. So they give you the ingredients, they tell you how to mix it, and it does mix really fast. And that's the reason they use this formula, because you can rapidly deploy it. We've already had huge ethanol tanks laying around that were storing ethanol. So it really was I'd say within 3 days, we were making large amounts of hand sanitizer.
That's so cool. Yeah, we're all running out. So
right. Well, and I see the opportunities when we open back up. Like after 9/11, life as we knew it was different, right? We go through an airport, and you get frisked, and it's not, you don't even question it. I think that retail stores and restaurants, when the COVID-19's over with, it's going to be mandatory. You have hand sanitizer at the beginning, in the stores, and it's just going to be a whole different way of doing business.
Absolutely. I think that brings up a good point too. Once I don't want to say get out of COVID-19, because I don't think we're going to. It's just going to be a continual, different process. But how do you think, or what are your thoughts on how COVID-19 is going to impact, your grow, maybe not necessarily in the store, but in the greenhouse? And, product sales at the other end of this. Do you guys have thoughts about that at this point, or is it too early to tell?
It's scaling everything back. I mean, like at the end of the day, it's definitely everybody tucks their heels in a little bit and doesn't go as big as maybe, you don't project as big as you think you're going to. So yeah, it's scaled back our production. So we're being cautious, but I think that, what it is going to do, and it's going to help the sales is, and this is already happening, this movement, I call it, is that people are going towards more of a natural remediation or health and wellness and taking care of themselves. And, I think, I'm 36 years old. My generation was the first generation that got prescribed Ritalin and Adderall and everything in school. And you ask most people my age, they would never put their kids on those medications. We've lived it. So, we're finding other ways that, like CBD and CBG, that can help with focus and help with attention, ADD and ADHD. So I think this movement's already happening, and I think this is only going to awaken more people and say, you know what, maybe I do need to have a smoothie and some vitamins instead of a Big Mac and a beer.
Yeah. I had something else to ask you about that, but I totally forgot. Maybe it'll come back to me. I remember it. So, can people still maybe not come into the store, but can they still make purchases of CBD products, or is that kind of on hold for now?
They can definitely hop on any one of the websites, like our homepage or any of our store extensions, to support those specific stores. But definitely, we are doing online purchases. I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. With Alexandria, I believe they're still able to be open. I think Waseca is as well. And I think it was kind of the bigger metro areas that were shut down in regards to in-store shopping or like curbside pickup and stuff like that. But you can definitely hop on our website and still order right now as well.
I have some final questions here for you before I wrap up. Asking you for final thoughts. And one thing I like to ask everybody at the end is, what are you guys listening or reading right now?
Like in regards to the industry or just in general?
Anything.
Okay.
While you're thinking about that, Trevor, I'm an avid reader. I'm a book a week reader. So for years I read, all of the self-help improvement books, Awaken the Giant and, Think and Grow Rich and all those. Recently, if you looked at the iPad and the Kindle, it's all about chromatography. So I'm indulging in the science of remediation and splitting cannabinoids. So we're not an extraction company. We're a cannabinoid manufacturing company. So really creating the, proprietary blends of oil with all the different cannabinoids and terpenes and blending them together to create this entourage effect that can help for specific reasons. So that's where I'm diving into, is how do we separate all these cannabinoids out separately so we can mix them back in at a specific formulation.
Oh yeah. Pretty much with anytime I can get some decent free time, while I'm here in the store, I got a couple of different books I like to read. There's two of them right there. But it's more so, how looking into what healthcare workers are talking about cannabinoids, doctors, research doctors, scientists, that kind of stuff. What's kind of the leading edge of healthcare right now for cannabis and cannabinoids, or in regards to reading content, that is.
So once things lighten up and people can go back out and be in community again, what's your favorite location, Rochester? Where are you guys looking forward to being once we can be in public again?
Honestly, I'm going to just be excited to be able to network out, branch out, meet different people. I know we had a couple different events before everything kind of got shut down. We were doing a Litter Bit Better campaign where we were going to go pick up Silver Lake Park. We were going to have a nice little couple-day event out there where people could volunteer, get some T-shirts, go out there and help pick up some parks. And no, I didn't want to just stop there. I kind of wanted to keep it going with that cleaning up the park type of deal, really trying to give back to the community as much as possible. Let them know that, we wanted to be a real community member here. A lot of businesses and stuff like that. So.
I'm looking just to be outside. I'm tired of being cramped inside.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I guess along those lines, how have you both been kind of personally dealing with COVID-19 on kind of a personal level? I know a lot of us, like, the first week it was just kind of weird and kind of something, but now we're like a month, 5 weeks in, and it's definitely a different experience. So what are your kind of tricks to getting through?
I work about 90 hours a week, so it really hasn't even affected me. Honestly, it's so crazy that just this last week I finally went shopping for some things, and I finally hit me like, wow, this is really weird, a shopping experience. Otherwise, literally the last 4 weeks that I've been so focused on work and extraction and hand sanitizer, I literally didn't even realize the world was changing around me.
I was not quite as serious as Matt. He's kind of the one that's usually underwater 98% of the time. But it hasn't really been too much of a difference for me either. Besides, I'm just in the shop more. I get to get a lot more hands-on time in the lab, which has actually kind of been a blessing in disguise for me here as well. And just, I guess it's mostly between my apartment and the shop pretty much every day and just bouncing back and forth. And it's been a pretty easy schedule, at least with that. And it's kind of nice being able to talk to people every day that are looking for hand sanitizer, being able to help them, that kind of thing. So I'm still kind of an active member of the community with a lot of people reaching out to me looking for hand sanitizer and where they can get it and stuff. So that's kind of nice. But at the same time, it's not too much of a difference for me either. It's just, going to work and then heading back home and hanging out with the dog.
Same question back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like routine, so I think trying to get that again. Otherwise, like yesterday, I just stayed in my pajamas all day. It was not a good day. I think just managing all of that, like still keep some semblance of normalcy in my life, getting outside, because I didn't yesterday, and that was not good. So I think all of those things, and understanding that there are people way worse off than myself, that definitely helps to put things in perspective. So, yeah.
Yep.
All right. That was it on my end. I'll ask you guys for any final thoughts and where people can find you guys online and in person.
So we got both of our locations here in Rochester. My location here in Miracle Mile, it's 102 17th Avenue Northwest. It's right on the entrance, right in here in the mall, right in the middle there between Fresh Time and Home Furniture. Otherwise, our North Store location's up in the Marketplace Drive area, right across from Target, right next door to Chipotle, Verizon store, that kind of thing. So they're both very accessible locations. Other than that, our websites, it's www.thecbdcenters.com /Rochester 2 or /Rochester 103 for the Marketplace Drive location. But yeah, that's kind of the big spots that you can find us at here in Rochester for now.
And, I think constantly keep looking. I know Trevor's been working on, we bought him a little CO2 extractor. Mm-hmm. He's actually, I'm a little jealous of him. He gets to play with it. I like shiny toys. So, watching that, and then also going into the store, the live feeds are going to be up again on the extractor and the isolation room. So we actually have cameras that are going to feed right into all of our stores. Mm-hmm. So you can actually see the process happen while you're at the store.
No, that's super cool. I can't wait to check it out once we're able to go in again.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this today. I appreciate both of your time on a Friday afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
Any exciting plans for the weekend?
Work,
yeah. A whole lot of this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, all right. Thanks.
You. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks to Trevor and Matt for sitting down with us for this chat. We recorded this podcast in mid-April, so certainly the climate has rapidly changed since then, but I appreciate their time and keeping us up to date on what's happening in their business. So you can find more information about the CBD Centers through the links in our bio and connect with them there. We're always looking for great Rochester entrepreneurs to have on the podcast. So if you know an entrepreneur with a great story to tell, let us know. Send us an email at rochesterrising@gmail.com. That's a wrap for the podcast today. Be sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen into your podcast content so that you never miss a story of entrepreneurship and innovation coming out of Rochester, Minnesota. We'll see you here next Wednesday with a brand new episode.